Welcome back, everybody. We are here at the LCK Spring 2020 doing this very nice remote broadcast. It is me, Valdez, with, of course, LS, aka Lost Sound. How is your mic doing now after you've had a little bit of time to try to improve it over there, LS?
Alright, so I tried to improve it as much as I could, but I think that something's just going wrong and sending the signal to Lowell Park, because this is a Sennheiser 600. I think I just uploaded a video to Twitter that it sounds crystal clear when I locally record or when I send the feed to my personal stream, but something is getting lost in the sending to the official broadcast, so not really sure what is going on there, but okay. Hopefully it's fixed. Not really totally sure what's going on, but we just got out of series number 1 less than 10 minutes ago, and this isn't common here in the LCK. We're jumping right into the next series immediately. We have 3 best of 3s a day. This is the only way to get through all of them, but it definitely is going to be a bit of a marathon.
Yeah, we got 3 series per day for a bit, trying to catch up for lost time due to the coronavirus delaying everything over here in Korea. But this is kind of the solution that we have come upon, and it's new, it's different. Honestly, I'm just happy to be back casting LCK and watching Korean League of Legends once again. First series, it wasn't very close. It was just a absolute domination of a series of Genji over Griffin, but we think that this second series, KT versus DAMWON, should be a lot closer, especially with KT in recent times really ramping up their play.
Yeah, and so we'll see if KT can keep up their win streak. Remember, Nuguri in an interview recently talked about how DAMWON are scrim gods, or that's what we've always heard about them. I think that this was even a thing at Worlds where they were perceived as scrim gods. And obviously that's a very long time ago, but I think that it has been something that has sort of been around them for a while. So I'm really excited to see how they're going to perform here against KT. 5th place competition. Will KT finally join the west-hand side, or will DAMWON keep their spot? So it's a battle for who's going to stay on the ship, Valdez.
Everybody else who's not on the left side of the bracket is just struggling not to drown, basically, as they're not
Jack
on the
and
ship.
Rose. Oh, no. Don't let go, Valdez.
Well, there's some teams that it's hard not to let go, based on the way that they've been doing so far in the LCK. You guys got to see a lot of those match points, but now we're going to take a look at some team stats, hand-picked by the production to make KT look very good, as these are some of the stats in which they excel in, as DWG not half bad in these stats either.
Yeah, I mean, these are, you got to give it credit. They did manage to find some actually really nice stats for both of these teams. First Herald percentage, first for KT, 65.2% of the time. Rift Herald wait, what?
What?
Isn't that the same stat? Wait, what? Rift Herald, first Herald, and Rift, total
yeah,
Rift
because
Herald.
there's
two. Okay, alright. Valdez.
All right.
Cut it out. 66.7% for KT. Here they are on your screen. So on Bono, Kuro, Aiming, and Tushin. And Aiming still retaining that Super Saiyan God hair with the blue. Not sure if he actually still has it, but it's a nice thing to point out.
Yeah, maybe an out-of-date picture. The only time we're going to be able to potentially see Aiming is if KT wins and he is one of the Pogs. So, hope that that happens if you want to see his hair color. This is the side of DAMWON Gaming, Nuguri, Canyon, Showmaker, Nuclear, and Beryl. And speaking of ships, they've kind of had a rocky voyage so far. If you can imagine, just in the beginning, they did not look great. They've slowly come back. They've won some games, some good games, but overall, they don't look super solid. And I think this is prime time for KT to potentially take their spot.
Yeah, this definitely could be it. We'll see what they can do, though. Showmaker, obviously, key player matchup here against Kuro. Zoe, Syndra, and LeBlanc for Showmaker. he still has been on point in terms of mechanics, but DAMWON has been having a lot of other problems so far in this split, and Kuro with the LeBlanc picks as well, but offering a much more controlled playstyle with mostly the champions that he has been gravitating towards. So we'll see what the drafts have in store for us here today between these two teams, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to seeing what some of the changes could mean, because Aurelia is one of the champions that I think of when I think of Nuguri and when I think of Showmaker, and with her getting the buff via the change to the Blade of the Ruin King, I'm excited for that. Now, will DAMWON not forget to ban Ornn, though?
You know, it feels like a lot of these teams are very forgetful. When we come to these pick and bans, they're like, oh, you know, I just forgot about that Ornn guy. And he has slipped through a couple of times. Oh, actually, I guess just once earlier on in the first game that Rascal did earn his player of the game for. As they're going to forego any Ornn bans for now, it will be the Zoe that does get targeted here.
Zoe taken off the table initially. Now let's see what's going to happen here. DAMWON will ban Aladios to open this up. Remember, we are on patch 10.5, so it's going to be a while until we get to more things. Are we going to have 10.7 by playoffs? I'm not really sure. That is the Fiddlesticks rework patch, and I'm really looking forward to that. Valdez, okay?
I would assume that we play it on 10.6, but it's always difficult. We don't have an exact schedule for when these patches do get put into professional play. So, yeah, I mean, Fiddlesticks, really cool, the new Fiddlesticks.
Looks really nice. It's personally my favorite trailer out of all the ones that they've released recently.
Yeah, it's almost like they're moving closer to building lore towards like a movie or like an MMO or something like that.
No, don't go too far. don't.
You know what I mean?
Don't do that. Yeah.
Really trying to build their lore for something. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think I might have I think I might be catching a drift. You know.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
Well, DAMWON, they are banning Senna, and KT banned the set, so now will Ornn get banned as the final thing right here? Let's take a look at what can end up happening. So it's either going to be Ornn or Callista, I would imagine. And it's going to be Olaf, so... We're certainly
close,
back.
Close. It starts with O. You know?
I was yeah. I was
Maybe he
almost
misclicked.
There. Yeah. And
Close.
KT, ooh, hovering Katarina.
They're just calling out Showmaker right now.
And Katarina's a really interesting champion. I'm pretty adamant that I think she is competitively viable. Typically only on red side and almost only as an R5 pick, but I really do think that we should see her at some point in the future. If it's not Spring Split, probably summer, unless the MSI like mid-season patch is massive or something. But KT, they're going to elect to go Callista on B1. DAMWON hovering the Ornn but didn't lock it in. And finally it will be locked in. We'll have to see what that's going to be for. If it's going to be for Showmaker in mid lane or Nuguri up in top lane. And the Elise is getting paired with it. And you already know my feelings on this, Valdez. They are very off-theme with each other.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to scaling versus, the early game prowess, obviously Elise falls into the latter, whereas Ornn loves to scale, give a bunch of items.
It almost actually looks like we're looking at constructed decks right here or something. KT with the Callista into the Jarvan Taric. I have a feel. I think we've seen this somewhere earlier today.
Really? I'm not sure.
No? All right.
No, I don't know. I think I already blocked out that first series from my brain. Kai'Sa gets locked in. We've seen a bit more Kai'Sa at the same time. And so we might see some focuses on supports here.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit peculiar. They're pairing the Kai'Sa and the Elise with the Ornn. These are two champions that don't really get ornaments, at least not until way later. So already some mismatch on the side of DAMWON, and this is something that I know that we've been very critical about in Spring 2020 so far about DAMWON, is that their team compositions oftentimes don't make a lot of sense, and that they seem to be picking a lot individually rather than for any sort of team cohesion. So Azir now getting banned away inside of the draft phase. Azir obviously fits very well with KT's team composition, but also just overall a very safe champion. As DAMWON now also banning away LeBlanc, they recognize that there needs to be a very strong AP carry on the side of KT that needs to come in.
Yeah, and it is Kuro's LeBlanc. At the same time, he has proven that even if he's not exactly on the level of Faker's LeBlanc, he's still really good on that pick, and so it seemed like a pretty obvious last ban there to take away from that player, as Kiana now going to be the hover. But and again, we've seen that pick hovered multiple times alongside of Galio that was banned twice in the first series, but now is actually going to be picked up here for DAMWON.
Galio getting locked in here is a little bit surprising, given that KT is the one that does come into DAMWON, but if you use the Galio ultimate defensively, by that point the Taric ultimate is active, and so that's a little bit surprising. But perhaps this is more a steal away from KT, because Galio does slot in very well on KT's team composition, where if the Jarvan goes in, Galio follows up with the Grand Entrance, and then the Taric ult resolves, that's pretty scary in terms of a wombo combo kind of engage. So maybe they're just taking the Galio away there. It's going to be really rough for the Elise, Galio, and Ornn to deal damage, because they're giving KT so many ways and reasons to build magic resistance.
Yeah, I mean, their side as well as DAMWON's side, you go up against double AP laners here with the Rumble and the Kennen as the final two picks for KT. The response is going to be Pantheon, actually, here for the side of DAMWON. So I would imagine that is the Galio going to go into the support side, or is that actually going to be Pantheon?
I think that it's probably going to be the Galio in the support side, and so a lot of people probably were thinking Grand Entrance, right? They were probably making fun of me for getting that wrong, thinking that I was, not a very astute caster here. But really, I was just envisioning the Pantheon coming for the hero's Skyfall. Okay, Valdez?
Okay.
Gotta bring them all together. Yeah, exactly.
And,
so now...
there is a lot of stuff they can call from the sky, as they've got a Gargoyle, a Gladiator, and a big Ornhorn that calls his friend over. So pretty scary stuff, actually, from both sides in terms of team fight engage potential.
Well, Ornn, Elise, Pantheon, Kai'Sa, and Galio. So a lot of long-range engage potential on the side of DAMWON, but a massively mid-game dependent team composition. If they fall behind, despite having an Ornn and a Kai'Sa, there's actually sort of not a lot of late-game insurance policy. However, with the rounded out picks on the side of KT, Rumble, and Kennen, it does make it so that some of the champions on the side of DAMWON will be able to have a little bit more effectiveness, but the Kalista is going to be such a menace, and the magic resistance is going to be such a problem.
Yeah, so very interesting drafts as we're going to go into game number 1. I feel like the draft was relatively even, and that's what we were expecting from KT versus DAMWON. KT really on the up and up. They had a pretty horrendous start to Spring. Maybe just growing pains. They have a bunch of new players that come in, although they do keep that core of old Afrika with Kuro, Aiming, and Tucson coming back together. The gang's back together with those three, but a couple of new guys to work with up in the top side. So they finally put things together. Whereas DAMWON, it kind of feels like they pick champions that they like. And they're good enough to make it work sometimes. Other times, they struggle because of it. And so I'm really excited to see exactly how these two drafts will clash.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, you have Conqueror on Elise. We're taking a look at the runes, seeing where things might be a little bit strange. Rumble having the Scorch against the Pantheon. And Kaisa with the Hail of Blades on her, as Lethal Tempo is the rune of choice for the Callista. So, definitely some pretty interesting rune choices all around. Cosmic Insight on the Ornn, so he's not going to have the potion enhancement. Does have the biscuits as well, so no dematerializer or thing of that nature. We're getting some action level 1.
Beryl, what is going on? Oh man, he's like, I've got Aftershock, I'm fine. No you're not. The Galio has to flash. It is traded with the heal from Tucson, but obviously the flash a lot more valuable, you can say, of a summoner.
Yeah, it's absolutely a better summoner spell. I don't think anyone needs any explanation on that one, as now bot lane is going to be in a bit of a rough spot. Showmaker immediately crashing 2 waves, a little bit surprising. He's not going to be able to get a cheater recall off here in this matchup, and Pantheon is one of the champions that actually utilizes a cheater recall really well, given his extremely high base MS. He gets back to the lane faster than some other champions, and then also he's just such a menace with the longsword, plus the fact that he utilizes early trades really well with the corrupting potion, so going back, replenishing them back to full, chunking the opponent, things of that nature. Really surprising to see Showmaker just willingly crash a second wave, and now he's pulling the third wave in, but this is a byproduct of what Kuro did. He's going to burn Cleanse.
Yeah, Kuro is going to burn Cleanse, and that denies a lot of the damage. The Elise damage not looking too impressive up against the shield of the Rumble and the immediate Cleanse. So, kind of funny how that Elise looked like she did no damage, even though the combo looked impressive. Both junglers now should just trade their scuttles, as that is going to be happening now. Kuro thinking about rotating down bottom side, and they are actually going to respect this by backing off of the turret for quite a while, but that's going to open up that first turret plate over to the side of KT. Remember that those are worth 160 gold now, and yeah, just some extra value there for the bottom lane.
Yeah, and bot right now is, I mean, they're just endlessly getting shoved in over and over. Mid lane is where DAMWON is basically finding all of their success, though. Pantheon up quite comfortably in the CS department. So on not getting the kind of advantages that he would probably hope for against Nuguri up here in top lane. Nuguri manages to CS all of that. He won't be too far behind, just down 4 CS, which is perfectly fine. Ornn still hasn't even built an item yet, so he is doing extremely well up there in top. And remember, early into mid-game, this is where we have to watch for things going on. Jarvan's going to recall right now. First dragon of the game is going to be Infernal. Now, Jarvan is pathing towards left side, and ideally, Soan gets the crash on the second wave and then starts pulling. And if he does that, Jarvan can comfortably clear his blue side jungle and then maybe look to make something happen top lane. But if the crash fails to be secured, then maybe what we end up seeing is that Jarvan just paths top in anticipation for release and just gives Kennen some sort of like a free recall. But these aren't the most ideal situations if you are a KT fan. Showmaker almost has level 6. That's going to be a very real threat that's coming up soon. He is up 14 CS right now. And Nuguri might even just be looking for a recall into teleport soon, given that a spellbook is going to be available in 50 seconds.
Okay, he's thinking about it. Looks like he is not going to go for the recall just yet. His Lightning Rush is going to be used there to clear out the wave, so he's just going to be chilling for now. It looks like he did make that Catalyst after all, so I believe he should have made that right before the wave. That gives him 6, so not half bad. He can get that nice little amount of regen. Bono taking a lot of this XP in the mid lane, trying to help push into the Pantheon, which I don't think should be too difficult for him. But it does mean that both Kuro and Bono are going to be level 6 for a potential dive. You'll notice that Kuro is actually just going to back instead of rotating down to the bottom side. And Canyon, really sneakily, just waiting right here with the scanner. He's looking for anyone who's going to go for that rotation. Looks like the scanner popped out right at the end there. And maybe they're going to go for a 3-man potential pick here, as Beryl went the wrong way. The Cocoon lands onto the bottom side, trying to exhausts Tucson, and they will be able to force that down. Here's the Pantheon from the mid lane, able to scoop up that first blood. They even force the cleanse away from the Kalista, so a nice amount of value going DAMWON's way.
Yeah, and this is really good for them. Pantheon getting the first blood, really valuable. He's the champion that you want to accelerate. You want to get the gears in motion for him so that he can just start trying to take over the game. And DAMWON, they're going to immediately start up this Infernal. It resets, which is really bad for them. Teleport coming out. Hold on.
Oh, they're trying to go for the pick here, but the Galio is going to be the first one that actually bites the dust. Canyon is up next, and now the Cannon's in a great spot to try to turn this one around. He's going to flash there, as he doesn't have that Slicing Maelstrom off a cooldown, but it's not going to matter. Able to get in here and make a huge effect. They get the flash out of Nuguri. Aiming's looking for that big rend, and he is going to be able to pick it up as everybody is going to go down on the side of DAMWON.
We're truly back, Valdez, as that was one of the biggest throws I've seen, and a lot of it starts off the reset on the Drake. So, we take a look at the replay here. They get onto Tushin. The heal comes out. Tushin flashes away. Grand Skyfall ends up coming in by Showmaker. They get the kill onto him. They had a really good wave. The Infernal reset, otherwise, they can try to just burst it and then get away, but because it reset, they end up going in onto Bono, don't have enough damage, so on with a great teleport from the north, able to just get in here, and then everyone on the side of DAMWON is essentially exhausted in the sense that they don't really have any kick left in them as this fight keeps going. Nuguri tries to flash the wall, Aiming follows, and now KT are in a monstrous position inside of this game. 1,500 gold lead. They're going to get the Infernal Dragon to boot. And Rumble, he has a Ruby Crystal. The action's not over yet, Valdez.
Whoa, that was a really long-range Fates call, but now Tucson has to be careful. That is a lot of sticks into barrel. Will he get that big rend? It's not going to be enough to pick off the kill, but a one trade at the end does go their way, as Aiming was able to hit level 6 first down in the bottom side. And they're going to use Bono to come up here and zone them away from even more. So trying to get as many wins and trying to get that Kalista, who's already, by the way, 2-0-1, even farther ahead.
Yeah. They're going to get the turret plates down here. Tushin, I mean, this game is really running away from DAMWON right now. And Nuguri, he's level 7 on that Ornn. So-On is already into level 8. We'll see when Nuguri ends up dinging it. Maybe he'll get it off that cannon, and he did. So, not actually as big of the level disparity as I initially thought when the camera first panned up to top, but this bot lane is really looking disastrous. You can see Bono, he's rotating in as a means to basically say, hey, I'll just sit here, and if you want to walk up and die, you can.
Barrel's like, yes, in fact, I would like to run up and die.
Like
please take me with you.
You know that Winnie the Pooh meme? The regular Winnie, and then there's the one with, like, the monocle.
Like the Dapper Winnie or something? Yeah. Like sophisticated Winnie, it should
The first one says standing back, playing it safe, and the second one is walk up to turret.
Walk up under a ward under turret and die. As, yeah, So-On's in a little bit of trouble here, but he's getting some extra resistances, and it's just barely going to be enough to keep him alive. So the follow-up dive by DAMWON is not nearly as successful, as a great play there by So-On to get out alive without even his flash. As KT, they're almost 4,000 gold ahead, and it's 10 minutes into the game.
Yeah, DAMWON are really falling apart completely, and remember, for a team composition that was so crucial for them to get ahead in the early into mid transition, they had it going for them. They got the first blood on the Pantheon. Pantheon was lane kingdoming Kuro in mid. They got Kuro's cleanse very early on. Very easy lane setup with Pantheon Elise. But that one Infernal Drag, it all went downhill when the Fire Nation attacked.
Oh no.
Here it is. Here it is again. So Beryl, he just refuses to stand back. And the funny thing to me is that Nuclear and Beryl are clearly on just different wavelengths here, where Nuclear actually seems to understand, no, this probably isn't a good idea. And very much like the level 1, where Beryl just engaged on Galio and blew his flash, he's definitely having an off game here. Grand Skyfall comes in, Ornn ultimate completely whiffs. Canyon refusing to let this end. Slicing Maelstrom came out, obviously stuns up the Elise, and then they just couldn't actually kill him. He lived by one auto attack.
Yeah, it was extremely close. And speaking of running under turrets, Sohan understands that now is not the time. He's just going to back away and say, sure, take some wins down on the bottom side. I really don't care. I am not going to die in this game. He's 1-0-1, and he will do the right thing for his team. He's going to group up mid, try to clear out the wave, or at least help with some moral support here. Ends up stealing away that cannon, I believe. But either way, at the end of the day, Aiming and Tucson able to push extremely fast in the top side. And take a look at the gold tier of the Callista, nearly 6,000. He's already 2,000 gold ahead of Nuclear in this game, his counterpart. This is not close for Aiming versus anyone else in the game in terms of gold.
No, and honestly, KT are just, they're playing this so well with their lane allocations. Cloud Dragon's coming up next, the second dragon of the game, so it's not important at all. KT can just forego that in favor of bolstering their economy by staying inside of lanes, getting all of the waves, getting the jungle camps, things of that nature, and letting the opponent be the one to rotate to the dragon and pick it up, potentially losing themselves some lane XP or even some jungle camps that they otherwise would have been able to get or defend or something like that. But they are looking like maybe they're going to actually initiate a lane swap back. Callista and Taric are, I think, heading towards mid lane now, so we could also see a team fight break out here. Callista does have the Blade of the Ruin King, haunting guys on the Rumble. Kennen doesn't have his Proto Belt yet. He might have it on recall, but they would be favored if a team fight did break out right now.
Yeah, they absolutely would, and no doubt if DAMWON wants to hand it over to them, they will take it with open arms. Will be the first time it is not a Cloud Soul in this game, the first of 3 games, so we'll have to see what it is. This Cloud Drake is going to go the way of KT quite easily. DAMWON don't want any part of this, and it is going to be the Ocean Soul that does come up here. So 2 Drakes away. Excuse me, and KT is going to be in quite the nice little spot if they can secure those objectives.
Well, let's see if they do manage to get to it. So it's definitely a change of pace from the Cloud Souls that we had in the first 2 games of the day, but right now KT probably completely fine to just take things very slowly. So I'm just trying to get the wave crashed in here, but going to respect the fact that yeah, this Global from Pantheon and the Global from Beryl, basically, able to follow up
he
if
really
necessary.
Wants to get this kill. The Tiamat there, nearly enough, and the W is going to sail wide. Showmaker extremely fast, but not fast enough. It's hard to catch up to the little squirrel that is a Kennen. Extremely fast, able to get away from that one. They trade flashes. A crazy amount of turrets actually have gone down in this game already to both sides, not even just the winning team in this one. So a nice amount of gold here. Nuggery gonna throw out the Ornhorn, try to clear that wave out. He ends up having to flash as he puts himself in a really dire spot. Is going to end up being okay as there are no more minions, but he did have to flash to get away from that one, and also the Galio had to. So they clear out the wave, they save the turret, but now they don't have flashes for any future engages.
Yeah, this is definitely a little bit of a rough spot here. Now, there's 2 tanky boys here in mid lane, the Galio and the Ornn, just trying to basically hang on to this turret. But 3 minutes until Ocean Dragon is going to be coming up, and also Nuggery, he's building Iceborne Gauntlet on Ornn. And Valdez, I know that you know my feelings on this item, but I think what Nuggery is maybe thinking is that he wants the Spellblade proc because he thinks that the enemy team's already going to have so much magic resistance that Sunfire isn't going to get a lot of value just in terms of damage, but really his only job is to live, so the HP and the armor on the Sunfire upgrade is definitely nothing to scoff at. And even though he gets a bit more CDR from this version of the build, typically with Ornn, you end up hitting near max CDR anyway. So it's a little bit perplexing to see this here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he's going to be holding himself up into a matchup against Kennen only in a side lane or anything like that. He's going to be looking for for engages from, downtown Ornhorns and 5-on-5s, not necessarily trying to push away against a split-pushing cannon or anything like that. So, would have to agree. As the game might enter a little bit of a lull state here, we had a lot of action to start off. We had 8 kills in 8 minutes, actually, which is kind of rare for the LCK. But after that, a lot of the big objectives were taken down. The only things that are really standing are the mid lane turrets that are standing for both sides right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if both the teams just sit back and wait for that Ocean Drake that is going to be coming up in a minute 30.
Yeah, a minute and a half until that ends up hitting, and Leandri's should be able to be completed by the Rumble, although doesn't have a minion wave to actually get to, as aiming did eat all of the minions in mid. You can see Pantheon up there in top lane. Remember, he does have the global available, so Pantheon probably just going to try to split push top lane while his team tries to buy time. But it is still really scary. You look at the items, so Iceborne finally completed. Pantheon probably going to recall here into Yumu's Ghostblade, I'm assuming. Be very surprised if he picked up a Duskblade of Drakthar, but we'll see. It is going to be the Yumu's, and so he will end up getting Yumu's Wraithblade later, but there's already some resistances on the side of KT, so lethality items, we'll see if he keeps going into them. He has a Tiamat right now, or if he'll end up picking up a Black Cleaver maybe to sort of amplify a little bit of damage for the Kai'Sa, as Pantheon is the only source of physical damage. 40 seconds until the Ocean Dragon. It would be a really rough fight. Also want to point out that Canyon, I think, is going Nashor's Tooth on Elise.
Here we go, So-On. He's been ganked so many times. Is he going to go down this time around? Yes, he absolutely will, as the Galio didn't have to go, but they expend that Pantheon ult. They've also got Shirley, it looks like, here. They're going to drop that down and say, okay, we'll trade the tier 1 in mid, but we will get a lot of objectives and worth up here in the top lane.
With Herald coming down, and you can see KT is actually rotating to it, but Bono might just actually immediately start up the Dragon. He's going to use the EQ, the flag and drag, to get into the Dragon Pit, and yeah, DAMWON has no idea.
It's so good, and that's going to be enough damage. They're going to chase down Nuggery. You got to know what's coming when you're going up against a Fed Kalista, or any Kalista at all. It just looked like a couple of members wanted to stay, and then the other 2 members wanted to get out, as the communication was not there to disengage. So that does mean that a couple more kills go to Kalista, who's 4-0, and the Ocean Drake is going to go the way of Bono.
And so this is going to bring the game to Soul Point, as I don't really know what DAMWON could hope to achieve at this point of the game. You take a look at the replay here, as So-On, he just gets caught out inside of a side lane, as Kennen can't really overextend against the long-range engage that DAMWON has available with the Ornn ultimate, as well as Pantheon's Grand Skyfall. And then they just pushed up way too far. And like you were saying, you gotta know what to expect when you're going up against a Kalista. She can just dog you down inside of the lane and constantly chase you up, and especially if there's a minion wave for her to keep hopping on. And aiming is just totally out of control. I think that he's going to go Guardian Angel, 3rd item. Leandri's completed on Rumble. Probably going to be a Void Staff 2nd for So-On, I would imagine. He has a Blasting Wand, and there is some magic resistance on the side of DAMWON. But this game is looking very, very rough. It's only a 2,000 gold lead and 1 Infernal right now for KT. But team composition-wise, DAMWON's so far behind.
Yeah, it's the composition. They're in a real hole against this Kalista. I mean, Kalista can hard carry games. We've seen it in solo queue. We've seen it happen even in pro play, where she just runs away with the game. And if you don't have enough lockdown and ability to fight 5v5 versus her, you're gonna have a rough time. And when you're behind, it's a lot more difficult to engage with, even if you do have a Pantheon, Galio, Ornn combination. She can hop away from the Ornhorn and some of that engage. And another thing is she is fantastic at objectives. So they're going to put the flag down. They say, you're going to attack really fast, put a bunch of spears into this giant worm, and we're going to take the Baron here at potentially 21 minutes. Now it is spotted. Canyon in position. Can he go for the steal? He gets it! He picks off the steal, and that is massive! The big knockup here for Beryl, is going to try to zone this one out, but aiming, can he dog them down? He is just going straight through, picks up a double kill. So yes, the Baron is going to go the way of DAMWON. And with that Baron, Showmaker actually going to port down to the bottom side and go ahead and get to work on pushing the lane. As, wow, that was a big play by Canyon, but we'll see what KT can get on the follow-up push. LS, I think you might be muted, so you do see that he just hops in there. He's able to Q smite and lock that one down. Just fantastic timing from Canyon, a young player with great mechanics. When your team is struggling, sometimes you forget what these individual players can do. And so definitely a big move, of course, to steal that one away. It's going to even up the gold, but obviously KT have an opportunity here. The question is, though, you know, with this Baron buff, it's going to be up for, it looks like, 6 seconds after the Ocean Drake spawns. Will KT actually try to, you know, force picking up the soul, or will they just give this first one away to the side of DAMWON?
And I think that right now you don't want to just give away the Ocean Soul at this point. There's no reason not to just go for a steal, because if you end up getting it, you're going to win the game so easily at that point. KT, they're not even in a bad spot. They just completed Morello on Sohan, so that's going to be the most power that he can possibly get at this point in the game. And he had the Oblivion Orb as well, so completed that. He has magic penetration. Teamfight brewing, though.
Yeah, looking for it here, but the Taric ultimate, the Cosmic Radiance, is going to be massive. Big knockup and taunt here by Beryl, but you can see Bono just going man mode in the back line. He's able to get it started, and aiming has all the room in the world, just strolling down the mid lane, hopping and skipping her way to another double kill. I think he's up there at about 7 kills after that play. And with the 3 kills coming on in, they're just going to skip as a team down the mid lane, pick off this objective, and probably just go to that Ocean Soul.
Yeah, I think that they're going to have aiming and Tushin with Sohan push the mid turret right here. You can see aiming actually affected by the turret's aggro, does miss some of his HP. They raise the mid tier 3 turret. They're not going to push on beyond that. They're going to get Ocean Soul, Valdez. And with already so much durability against DAMWON's team composition, the Bloodthirster and the Blade of the Ruin King on the Callista, this is all but lights out, especially because you look at the Elise and the Pantheon, they can't 100-0 their opponents. They have to get in there, do their combo, try to deal sustained damage. Elise built the Nashor's Tooth for synergy with the Conqueror to try to have more late game potency, but it's just not going to be rewarded. Ocean Soul is going to suffocate any chance DAMWON has back in. As Teamfight comes out, Grand Skyfall came in, Taric ultimate, just a little bit too good. And this is what we were talking about way earlier on inside of the game, where don't let the gold scores mislead you. There is a gross difference between how these two teams conduct themselves 5-on-5. There's no real answer to Callista. Pantheon doesn't have the damage. Ornn, Elise, Kaisa, not able to really do what they would ideally like because of the Taric and because of the durability on the side of KT.
Yeah, they've got a pretty fed Callista. She is legendary right now, and she even picked up a QSS and a stopwatch, because why not both when you're this far ahead? I mean, you don't necessarily need damage. You need ability to hop around and do that damage and survive against any kind of big engage. You know, if you get caught out, at least maybe you're going to be able to QSS and stopwatch, wait for Tarek to come on over, Cosmic Radiance, and save you, and absolutely you can turn the game around. Look at the total damage on the left side of the map. The next person is below half of what aiming has done in this game. And that really just tells the story, and I believe that's why we're seeing so much priority on Kalista nowadays. Not only is she really good in the bottom lane with multiple different supports, not just Tarek, but she can also be flexed, which we haven't seen yet in the LCK, but definitely just raises her value in drafts to unbelievable levels.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people, they might be wondering, where is this Kalista change really coming from? Kalista got a couple of buffs in the last couple of patches where it really helped put her... Oh, hold on.
No, it's going to be knocked up here as the Ornhorn looking to push through, but the slicing Maelstrom just gonna slice through Canyon. And in the middle of the map, by the way, Aiming is just going 1v2 by himself, as the other two weren't even able to join up in the fight. That's a cute little knock-up from Nuggery, but that's basically all that he's going to be able to do, as Aiming is now 10-0-2 and might just end the game by himself.
And it does look like Aiming, he's just dancing around in mid lane. Showmaker, he's going to come over and try to maybe do something, but I do think that it's probably all that she wrote. Beryl will have the Galio ultimate available. We'll see if they actually even bother trying to do anything, or if they're just going to let KT raise their Nexus turrets. They might try to make one last stand right here. Nuclear is coming up as well.
A little bit too late for that, though. Tucson, extremely tanky, and they're actually just going for kills here. Gonna back away from that hero's entrance as, hey guys, let's boost our DPS numbers. They're gonna do that, and then in the game they are at 28 minutes. So GG, what a unbelievable stomp, as we had so much action early on in the game, and then Aiming on that Kalista just getting way too out of hand.
Yeah, and the Kalista is just really popping off, and I'm really excited to see her coming back into competitive play. She got a buff in 9.17, she got another buff again in 9.22, and then she got one of her more recent buffs this season was in 10.1. And so all these little things, with the fact that Senna and Aphelios and Misfortune and the other champions inside of the meta kept getting hit, when that happens, suddenly they get knocked down to par with some other champions. So all things considered, the meta's in a really good place for Kalista. Her flexibility to mid and top lane, even though we haven't seen that yet in the LCK, I feel like she's definitely going to become a meta mainstay.
Yeah, no doubt. And we're just taking a look here at the replay. I mean, he misses the Justice Punch, and then from there, so he goes down, he's able to just flash on top, as it was really one-sided after the Infernal Drake. The Fire Nation attacked, as you said, and that was pretty much it afterwards. So KT looking really strong. Again, they're looking to continue their streak, whereas DAMWON, in both the draft and the game, just a bit too inconsistent for how well KT is playing.
It really, I mean, KT are really turning over a new leaf, and I feel like that leaf might just get them to the ship on the west side.
Oh, okay.
And I think I can sense that you're getting excited.
Yeah, I'm getting really excited, actually, for KT. Big fan of this team right now. They've really impressed me overall, and after the beginning in this first game, I just can't help just being elated and totally excited. I just can't wait for them to come to Game 2 and win again.
Well, I think that actually has been the thing for KT this split, is it seems like the more excited you get, the better they're actually doing. So it was all
Keep
a
in mind,
cool
guys,
ploy.
I'm not actually biased.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm just memeing, so just because I know there's going to be a couple of people out there that are going to clip this and be like, Valdez biased? Oh my god.
This caster is ridiculous. As Aiming doing so much inside of these highlights, I would be so surprised if he doesn't end up getting the Pog. But So on, getting caught out right here. This is one of his unfortunate deaths. He managed to evade death so many times this game, except for that moment. This was Canyon's Miracle Steal. He goes into the pit, and 46.
46, yeah.
Very unfortunate if you are a KT fan right there, but it didn't matter. They were so far ahead at this point. Aiming. The Pokemon, yeah. Pokemon trainer just throwing Tushin right into the enemy team, going over the wall. And then this was the final team fight. Tark Ultimate comes out. Pantheon, he lands without anything to do because everyone is affected by the Tark Ultimate, so Pantheon just can't do anything. When he finally does, the only target he can jump onto is Bono, who is the opposite of who he should be looking for inside a team fight. So Pantheon gets neutralized, Elise can't do anything this game, and Kaisa was just so far behind out of the laning phase.
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, he flash taunted here, but it didn't look like Kaisa was ready to output that burst damage in any way. I mean, the lifesteal probably would have just outdone the damage anyway. As while that 1-on-2 was happening in mid lane, they weren't able to get a Galio over or Kaisa to join from the mid lane. And so this fight over here turned into a 4-on-3. Cute little knock up there at the end.
He tried.
But, yeah.
So Ornn lost.
That's a big number.
Ornn did lose. And if you're DAMWON, remember, we kept talking about the Scrim God, or how they felt like they couldn't play on stage the way that they do play at home, and now we're seeing it, and really they just got outclassed in this game. They were really overeager. They were, however, very proactive with trying to make things happen early on. It just ended up coming back to bite them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to have to see if they can affect it to a different degree in game number 2, and perhaps we will even see some Kalista bans come in eventually, or just, leaving it open on blue and saying, if you don't ban this, I'm going to take it away. So you would have to imagine, with her power level where it's at, that most teams would know how to pick up this pick. Has been popular in past times as well. So you would expect a lot of the 80 carries, at least, to be able to play that one. So guys, we're going to go to a quick 5-minute break. When we come back,